everybody, and welcome to Colorful Creative Box. I have a story to tell you. My friend, the other day, she went to a store. She wanted to try something new in the area of arts. She wanted to try something new, but she didn't know how because she wasn't experienced. She was actually a beginner artist. So she went to the store after watching a couple of YouTube videos. The store person did his or her best at trying to guide my friend, who assumed that my friend knew what she was doing. Sadly, that wasn't the case, and unfortunately, she ended up buying things that she does not need. Some of these things she won't use yet because she's not an advanced artist. She's a very beginner artist. And so she ended up wasting her time a little bit and her money. So I came to tell you here, there is a way to know. There is a way I can help you. So without further ado, join me in that table to show you the materials, some materials that are good for you to use, especially if you're a beginner, and that will help you throughout. So here we have a couple of materials right here, and I'm gonna go through each one now. Okay, this is my wonderful set of paints. Believe me, I actually have more than this, and I have more than all of this. But just to show you a little bit, I figured I'll bring some of these. So here we have watercolor. You can't really see it in the video, but this is watercolor tubes, and this material is water-based. To use the right materials for watercolor, all you need is a brush, any of these would do, and a watercolor pad or paper. Okay, it is a very thick paper. There is bigger than these, 9 by 12, but these are very, very good to use the paper very thick, so in case you need to use a lot of water, it won't bend or break or anything like that. Very, very very awesome to do. Okay, now we have acrylic. Okay, acrylic is also water-based. That means you only use water as well, just like watercolor. These two are water-based. And you also use any type of these brushes. However, there is such thing as acrylic brushes, and those are really, really good to use because they're acrylic. They're used for acrylic. The good thing about acrylic, you can use either paper or a specific type of paper or canvas, which, yes, I drew that. I painted that. Well, actually, I did both. I drew it and then I painted it over. I'll talk about pencils in a moment. And last but not least, we have here oil color or oil paints. Those, obviously, like the name says it, are oil-based. You cannot use water at all whatsoever. My suggestion, of course, is to stick with the canvas every time you paint with oil. Okay? There is also oil brushes. You can use this as well for a beginner person, but there are also oil brushes. Okay? This you will need, though, for oil. They're called spirits, and they are to either clear the paint or even clear the brush, or do other techniques that today we won't discuss for the sake of materials that I need to show you. This is something you will use also, palette, one of my favorite tools. You can use it for pretty much all three of them. This one's watercolor, you can still use the palette, but only if it comes in tubes. There's some that actually is an already dried watercolor that you just put water and you paint on the paper. Those you don't need the palette, but the rest you will use it. And this is just to combine paints Or you can even use other techniques that I will share with you some other time. Like I mentioned, like as you have noticed, I mentioned a lot about the brushes. The brushes really are very self-explanatory. This is more, the thick brushes are more for cover, in case, especially the big canvases. These are good for it. And these small ones, for example, these are very good for details. Doesn't matter the longevity, okay? In this case, if you're a beginner, those are good. This is good one for a beginner. And so is this one, okay? Last but not least, when I drew that painting, before painting it, I drew the couple of flowers, the lilies. I call it lilies because they reminded me of them. So I used 3 types of pencils. And the reason I did that is because we have, for example, our famous number 2 pencil or 2HB pencil. We have here the 2B pencil. And we have here the ebony pencil. This is the strongest one, perfect for shadow. And this will be the smoothest one in range of. I'll get to another topic one of these videos. I'll tell you what the difference between B and HB and 2HB, so on and so forth. But today I just wanted to discuss all of these materials. Oil-based, remember, it is just for canvas. You should just do it on canvas. If you're a beginner, yes, you can do oil, but start with something very, very simple and then head on from there. As a beginner, I would though recommend acrylic because it is the easiest to use, or tempera because it is the easiest to use. Okay, so now let's go back to the couch and yeah. So I hope you liked my video. If you did, subscribe down below. In conclusion, don't just go and buy things. If anything, tell the store person to help you, tell him or her that you are a beginner, that you don't know much, so that they go easy on you, hopefully. And please don't just watch YouTube videos and assume that you can already sense and do everything that you can do. Sometimes you can't. As a teacher, I cannot teach a kindergartner to already start shading. They're not gonna understand just yet. Eventually in the future, I'll let him or her experience that. But for now, they're too young. It's the same thing with adults. Once you get the hang of a material, you can start advancing more. But in the beginning, it is best to use materials that are meant for beginners. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. Make sure you tell that store person and don't waste your money or your time. So I'll see you next time. Glad you can join me, and